Now there's a lot of talk about where the reserve list is going to be in the future, considering they're getting away with printing cards like Jeweled Lotus, which is kind of like a powered down Black Lotus that you can only cast your commander. It's obviously not as powerful. So in regards of people complaining about the power level, yes, of course it's ridiculously powerful, absurdly powerful. Probably one of the most powerful cards you can use in Commander, if not the most powerful. But it's still no Black Lotus. And this isn't the first time Wizards of the Coast has actually went around the reserve list to print similar cards that have a similar effect of a reserve list card. It's just one of the ways that they have to think creatively, if you want to use creatively as a word for this, to get around it, to actually print things that are going to hopefully get players excited, but also not upset large investors and the whales that they seem to love hunting. So one of those cards was actually Growing Rights of Imilak or something. Do you remember? It was a Gaia's Cradle style land. It was actually one of the flip lands in Ixalan. And I remember when that came out, there's a lot of people like freaking out. Oh my god, they did it. They essentially reprinted Gaia's Cradle, which is one of the most played cards in Commander, one of the most played lands. But not really, because it's an enchantment that you have to eventually flip over, and yes, it does have pretty much the same effect as Gaia's Cradle, but it's a lot harder to get to that state. Versus something like Jeweled Lotus, where essentially it's already a 0 mana spell that you can crack immediately for the 3 mana that you can cast your commander with. So in comparison, obviously Jeweled Lotus is a lot more powerful than Growing Rights of Imilak. So will they do this more often? Well, short answer is I think yes. This is they're going to see how the market reacts to this card. There is obviously a lot of hate, but I've also seen a lot of comments, people saying that we should be, we're blowing this out of proportion. This card is not as powerful. Like, it's powerful, but you can only cast your commander with it, so chill. Essentially is the gist of what I've been reading from the more the camp of people who think that it's actually not that much of a power creep. Then there's the other side, who think that this, it's going to ruin the game. This is done. Commander is now a banned format like, Standard is, where they just are going to start banning things consistently because of the power level of this card. And I don't know about that. I think time will tell. It's hard because when it comes to competitive play, we're going to have to see. Right now, it's very hard to get competitive play for Commander going on, for Modern as well, even Pioneer. Like, a lot of it's just Standard, because Standard you can play on MTG Arena, so you can still do competitive for Standard, but they're not able to actually have enough good data out there to really show how much of an impact this card's going to have. Of course, in the casual community, you're probably going to have play groups that'll decide whether or not you're going to be able to play with this card, and whether people say yes or no, we'll be able to tell. Like, obviously it's going to be powerful. It's going to change this format. It's a no-brainer. You're going to need one copy of this in every Commander deck. Every Commander deck is going to have one copy of Jeweled Lotus. But overall, what is the future going to look like for Magic the Gathering? Are we going to see more cards like this printed into the future? Maybe more 0 mana spells? They found a good way around potential banning. Going through Standard is always like a no-go. If you look at all the bans that they've had in Standard, I think they've had the best card in every single Standard set banned since Throne of Eldraine. If I'm thinking it correctly in my head. I think the core set, no, but Throne of Eldraine had Oko banned, and then Theros Beyond Death had Uro banned, and then Ikoria had, they had a couple partners. The mechanic itself should have been banned. They banned partially things like Luris and everything else. And then you're also looking at the latest set where they banned Omnath pretty quickly. So bans seem pretty common right now, and it's pretty much destroyed Standard. If you look at like the negativity in Standard right now, it's pretty bad. Like, there's a lot of people who don't even want to play Standard. They don't even want to learn how to play. A lot of people, like, they learn how to play Magic through Commander. And now with broken cards like, Jeweled Lotus, will they really have the same feeling of joy when they start to learn how to play Magic? When they just feel like there's just too much power? Like, Commander was a format you can actually get into with budget builds and still have a pretty effective deck. Like Mono Red Goblins is a good example. You could elves minus the Gaia's Cradle. Like, there's a lot of ways you can make cheap commander decks that are actually very effective. But, you know, all these decks now are going to have to, you're going to have to spend, you know, $100+ now on Jeweled Lotus. Or wherever this price like ends at. Because right now, I think the foil extended cards are actually $400+ for Jeweled Lotus. So, we'll see where this ends at in the future. So, pretty interesting times ahead. And, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that Jeweled Lotus is going to set a dangerous precedent for reserve list printings? Or do you think that they'll see the impact of this and then say, whoa, guys, we don't like money that much. Let's stop this. Please, look at all the money I'm making right now. We have to stop these. We must stop putting cards out like this. It's looking less likely. Anyways, I'd like to hear your comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video.